Welcome back to the Suspense Vault, where we uncover the darkest mysteries and explore the stories that haunt us. Today, we delve into one of Japan's most infamous crimes, a tale of obsession, brutality, and a manhunt that captivated a nation. This is the story of Tatsuya Ichihashi, a man whose name became synonymous with fear, and Lindsay Hawker, the young woman whose life he tragically cut short. But this isn't just a story about murder. It's a story about survival, transformation, and the strange twists of fate that can lead a person down a path of no return. In 2007, Japan was a country known for its safety and order. But beneath the surface of this peaceful society, a dark and chilling crime was about to unfold. Lindsay Hawker was a 22-year-old British woman with a passion for teaching and a love for adventure. She had traveled to Japan to teach English through the JET program, a prestigious initiative that brings young educators to Japan. Lindsay was described as kind, outgoing, and full of life. She had dreams of exploring the world and making a difference in the lives of her students. Tatsuya Ichihashi, on the other hand, was a 28-year-old man with dreams of his own. He wanted to study abroad and improve his English, which led him to enroll in a language program in Chiba, near Tokyo. On the surface, Ichihashi seemed like any other student, quiet, reserved, and determined. But beneath that facade lay a darker side, one that would soon reveal itself in the most horrifying way. Hawker and Ichihashi met on Saturday, 24th March 2007 in a cafe. Afterwards, Lindsay agreed to tutor Ichihashi at his apartment. They caught a taxi to Ichihashi's apartment, a few hundred yards away. Hawker told the taxi driver to wait for a short time and went to the apartment. 7 minutes later, the taxi driver left after she failed to return. It was a decision that would cost her her life. Lindsay was brutally assaulted, strangled, and her body was found in a bathtub filled with a mixture of compost soil and sand. 2 days later, Lindsay was reported missing by her teaching agency, and the police were made aware of her last location. When police arrived at Ichihashi's apartment, they were met with a chilling scene. Lindsay Hawker's body had been discovered, and the evidence pointed squarely at Ichihashi. But the suspect was nowhere to be found. Unbeknownst to the officers, Ichihashi had already fled. Barefoot and carrying a rucksack, he was desperate to escape. When officers finally spotted him, Ichihashi panicked. He ran, his rucksack swinging wildly as he tried to outrun the law. One officer managed to grab hold of the rucksack, but Ichihashi, fueled by adrenaline, slipped free and kept running. Complicating matters, the officers on the 4th floor had no radios to alert their colleagues below. Communication broke down, and Ichihashi seized the opportunity. In a daring move, he vaulted over the last few steps of the stairway, landing hard on the ground floor. For a moment, it seemed like he might get away. But Ichihashi wasn't done yet. Somehow, he managed to find a pair of athletic shoes, likely left behind by a resident, and slipped them on. Now more agile, he zigzagged through the narrow streets, disappearing into the maze of Chiba's urban landscape. By the time officers regrouped, Ichihashi was gone, vanishing into the shadows like a ghost. It was a devastating blow for the investigators. Ichihashi's escape was not just a failure of coordination. It was a moment that would haunt the case for years to come. Little did they know, this was only the beginning of a manhunt that would stretch across Japan and captivate the nation. The manhunt for Tatsuya Ichihashi was one of the largest and most intense in Japanese history. Police scoured the country, distributing thousands of flyers and setting up checkpoints, but Ichihashi was nowhere to be found. For 2.5 years, he remained at large, becoming a ghost in the eyes of the law. Ichihashi's ability to evade capture was nothing short of astonishing. In his desperation, Ichihashi went as far as performing surgery on himself by cutting out 2 moles from his cheeks and slicing off a portion of his lips to make them look thinner. He also underwent multiple plastic surgeries to alter his appearance, changing the shape of his nose, eyes, and even his jawline. He used fake names, worked odd jobs, and moved from place to place, always staying one step ahead of the authorities. During his time on the run, Ichihashi lived a life of constant paranoia. He slept in internet cafes, construction sites, and even public parks. He avoided contact with others, fearing that someone might recognize him. But despite his efforts, there were close calls. On one occasion, he was nearly caught when a landlord became suspicious of his behavior. On another, he was spotted by a passerby who recognized him from the news. But each time, Ichihashi managed to slip away. In a strange and unsettling twist, Tatsuya Ichihashi developed a cult following in Japan. Some were fascinated by his ability to evade capture for so long, and others by his looks. Online forums and social media platforms buzzed with discussions about his case, with some even romanticizing his actions or portraying him as a tragic figure. Experts suggest that this fascination stems from a mix of morbid curiosity and the human tendency to mythologize figures who defy societal norms. For some, Ichihashi became a symbol of rebellion against authority, while others were captivated by the psychological complexity of his story. Regardless of the reasons, this cult following added another layer of complexity to an already tragic case. The police faced numerous challenges in their search for Ichihashi. Japan's dense urban areas and vast rural landscapes made it difficult to track him down. And Ichihashi's ability to blend in, combined with his altered appearance, made him a moving target. But the authorities never gave up, and neither did Lindsay's family, who tirelessly campaigned for justice. On 4th November 2009, an employee at a plastic surgery clinic in Nagoya reported to the police that a person with similar features to Ichihashi had received surgery at the clinic. The police immediately released to the press a photograph taken before his latest surgery. On 10th November 2009, the manhunt finally came to an end. Ichihashi was spotted in Osaka, working at a construction site under a fake name. When police moved in to arrest him, he tried to flee, but this time there was no escape. He was arrested in Osaka while trying to board a ferry to Okinawa. His capture was a moment of relief for Lindsay's family and the Japanese public, but it also raised questions. Who was Tatsuya Ichihashi really, and what drove him to commit such a heinous crime? In 2011, Ichihashi stood trial for Lindsay's murder. He pleaded guilty, expressing remorse for his actions. But for many, his apology rang hollow. The court heard harrowing details of the crime, including the fact that Lindsay had fought bravely for her life. In the end, Ichihashi was sentenced to life in prison, a verdict that brought some measure of closure to Lindsay's family. But the story doesn't end there. In a bizarre twist, Ichihashi began writing books from prison, detailing his life on the run and his reflections on the crime. His first book, Until I Was Arrested, became a bestseller in Japan, sparking outrage and controversy. Some saw Ichihashi's writings as an attempt at redemption, a way to confront his past and make amends. Others viewed it as exploitation, a way to profit from his notoriety. Lindsay's family was understandably devastated, calling the books a slap in the face to their daughter's memory. Despite the controversy, Ichihashi continued to write, even donating some of the proceeds to charity. But for Lindsay's family, no amount of money or words could ever bring her back. The case of Tatsuya Ichihashi is a chilling reminder of how quickly lives can be shattered. It's a story of tragedy, justice, and the complexities of human nature. But most of all, It's a story about Lindsay Hawker, a young woman whose light was extinguished far too soon. Thank you for joining me in the Suspense Vault. If you found this story as gripping as I did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of true crime. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.